Hi guys, and in this week's video, we are going to unlock the secrets of how women assess men's resilience. This is a question that I have been asked many times before by many different people. So in this video, we will discuss how women can tell if you are a man who is made of strong stuff. We will look at this from a Jungian lens, meaning that we will be discussing it through the analytical psychology of Carl Gustav Jung. Jung's theories are perfect for understanding human behavior because they encompass the inner workings of the mind and soul. Alright, so let's dive into the topic of this video. But before we do so, just a disclaimer. This video is not intended to put anyone down or to disrespect anyone's choices. Rather, this is about personal growth and helping you understand yourself better in order to reach your fullest potential. That being said, let's begin with what the shadow self is. In Jungian psychology, the shadow self refers to the unconscious aspects of our personality that contain our hidden and repressed thoughts, feelings, and traits. This is the part of ourselves that we keep hidden because it doesn't fit into our conscious perception of ourselves or into the expectations of the society in which we live. Jung believed that everyone has a shadow self, and that it is an essential part of the psyche. It is important to note that the shadow self is not inherently negative. Rather, it is simply a collection of those parts of ourselves that we have deemed unacceptable and have pushed out of our conscious awareness. For example, you may have a side of you that is very competitive and ambitious, but you do and see this as a positive trait. You keep it hidden because you think that such behavior is frowned upon by society. Or maybe you have a playful side of you that you find childish and silly, and therefore you suppress it. These are all examples of how the shadow self can manifest itself. The interesting thing is that even though we try to push our shadow self away and ignore it, it still influences our behavior and can cause problems in our lives if not properly integrated into our personalities. This is because the shadow self does not go away just because we have repressed it. It still exists unconsciously and can manifest itself in ways that we do not want or expect. Women have a keen ability to pick up on the subtle signs of a man's shadow self, and they use this information to form their opinions of him. For example, if a man is trying to suppress his emotions and act tough all the time, a woman can sense that there is more to him than meets the eye, and she may be drawn to him because of it. She may see past his tough exterior and recognize the vulnerability that lies beneath it. Another way that a man's shadow self can manifest itself is through his actions and behavior. If he is acting in a way that is out of character or that seems impulsive and irrational, a woman may be able to pick up on the fact that there are underlying psychological factors at play. For example, if a man who is usually calm and rational suddenly becomes angry and violent, a woman may be able to sense that there is something wrong and that he needs help. A woman's intuition is often heightened when it comes to matters of the heart and relationships. They have a natural ability to pick up on the subtle cues that men often miss, both verbal and nonverbal. When it comes to assessing a man's resilience, women look beyond the surface and pay attention to the little things that reveal his true character. One of the ways that women assess a man's resilience is by paying attention to his body language. Body language is a powerful way for individuals to communicate their thoughts and feelings without saying a word. Women are naturally attuned to the nonverbal cues that men exhibit, such as their posture, eye contact, and gestures. A confident and resilient man will typically have an open and relaxed body language, while a man who is insecure or anxious may display closed off or defensive behaviors. For example, a resilient man will be able to maintain eye contact with the woman he is speaking to, showing her that he is engaged in the conversation and is comfortable with himself. He will also be able to take up space without being overly aggressive or invasive. On the other hand, a man who is struggling with his own self-confidence may avoid eye contact or take up too much or too little space, which can signal insecurity and a lack of resilience. In addition to body language, Women also pay attention to a man's tone of voice and the words he chooses to use when speaking. The tone of voice can reveal a lot about a man's emotional state and attitude, while the words he chooses can show how he views himself and the world around him. A resilient man will typically have a calm and steady tone of voice, even when faced with difficult situations. He will also use language that is assertive and confident, but not arrogant or aggressive. For example, a resilient man will be able to express his opinions and needs clearly and respectfully, while a man who is struggling with his own self-confidence may use apologetic or self-deprecating language or speak in a whiny tone. By paying attention to these subtle cues, women can get a sense of whether or not a man is truly resilient or if he is just putting up a facade. Women are also adept at reading a man's emotional cues, and they use this ability to assess his resilience. Emotions are a natural and necessary part of the human experience, but men are often taught to suppress their emotions and act tough. This can lead to emotional repression and a buildup of negative emotions that can manifest themselves in unhealthy ways. A woman who is attuned to a man's emotional cues will be able to sense when he is struggling with his emotions and may be able to offer him the support he needs. For example, a resilient man will be able to express his emotions in a healthy and constructive way. He will be able to communicate his feelings openly and honestly, while also being sensitive to the feelings of others. On the other hand, a man who is struggling with his emotions may become angry or violent when he is unable to express himself in a healthy way. A woman who is attuned to these emotional cues will be able to recognize the warning signs of emotional distress and may be able to intervene before a situation escalates. Overall, women are naturally more attuned to the emotional needs of those around them, and they use this ability to assess a man's resilience. By paying attention to a man's body language, tone of voice, and emotional cues, women can get a sense of whether or not he is truly resilient or if he is struggling with his emotions and may need some support. It is important to note that resilience is not a fixed trait. It is a skill that can be learned and developed over time. Men who are struggling with their resilience may be able to improve with practice and support. And that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments and questions below. And if you liked this video, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.